Welcome to our final video, what's new in Microsoft Graph, but specifically about Microsoft Graph Toolkit. And there are some news in the toolkit as well. We will just try to cover each and every one of them in this video.
Microsoft Graph Toolkit at its heart is e-community project, and we want to give the community the flexibility to customize.
Graph Toolkit Playground is one of the best places you can try out the component.
The app is available. Would you like to install it?
We have TeamsFX provider available in Microsoft Graph Toolkit.
Check out the documentation, check out the latest release.
Stay tuned and continue coding. Hi everyone, welcome to our final video. It will be again about Microsoft Graph, what's new in Microsoft Graph, but specifically about Microsoft Graph Toolkit. I have my colleague Rabeb with me. Hi Rabeb, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Ayca?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm super excited to talk about one of my favorite tools in Graph Toolkit. And there are some news in the toolkit as well. We will just try to cover each and every one of them in this video. So, Rabeb, what's new in Graph Toolkit? Sorry, what's new in Graph Toolkit?
Right, let's dive just in. Let's see what my good friend Seb and the team have been working on with the Microsoft Graph Toolkit. So just a very quick reminder for those not familiar with the Microsoft Graph Toolkit. The toolkit is a collection of reusable framework agnostic UI components and authentication providers that basically allows you to work with the Microsoft Graph. The team has been really working hard on a variety of things on the Microsoft Graph Toolkit, and I'm going to try to cover some of these new things. So the first thing I want to talk about is the editor. And basically, this is a blank editor that lets you bring your own code in a way. It lets you, customize your CSS and your GS to have a more of a customized component. The Microsoft Graph Toolkit at its heart is e-community project, and we are always true to those roots. So we really value community contributions, and we want to give the community the flexibility to customize or create more components, etc. So the editor is just perfect for that.
Yeah, and also Microsoft Graph Toolkit, if you don't know what Graph Toolkit is, or if you're trying to discover, Graph Toolkit Playground is one of the best places you can try out the components and learn what you can build with Graph Toolkit components. If you just go to mgt.dev, you can start exploring the components and start working with it. The good thing is we haven't had any documentation or the overview page before, and now we have the editor. I know I use the components editors to edit stuff, and then I was always adding this stuff in my app right after I edit everything in the components side. But now we have a free format editor. You can just go to the editor and start typing stuff, including HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then when you see the result in the editor page, you can just copy paste in your app, which is an amazing feature in my opinion.
Yes, it is. By the way, I just want to mention Ayca and Seb are the two people I go to if I have any questions regarding the Microsoft Graph Toolkit. If you need any help or if you have any questions, these are your people. So talking about community, another very cool thing is on the solutions gallery. Now there are some sample solutions related to MGT. MGT is short for Microsoft Graph Toolkit. So we have like a couple of samples here, and if I go to see this sample, if it loads, come on. So I can see more details, a quick demo, what's
Nice.
happening in here exactly. And I can go and see the code on GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
This is the repo. You have
Perfect.
everything you need. And with the sample, that's not all, because if I keep scrolling a little, there is this thing here called live preview. And the live preview would allow me to see that sample
Oh,
on the
perfect.
playground. So again, if you need to customize any of this or change it a little, literally the code is here and you can do that if you need to. So
Nice.
this,
So we have more features in the playground right now by just going and choosing any sample. You can see it in the editor. You can customize it the way you like color, or
yeah,
maybe you can personalize it for your own page, and you can use it in your app right after you edit it in the editor in the playground.
yeah, and also you can, you can build on top of that to provide another sample for the community. So even, more samples and more things to share within the community.
Yeah, that's always great. And Rabeb, you mentioned that the playground is also available as a Windows app. Uh, I haven't tried that before. Can you show us how you do it?
Yes, yeah. So again, we know like the playground is really like loved and used by anyone who's using Microsoft
Check
Graph
out the
Toolkit. So we
documentation, check
wanted to
out
make
the
sure that you
latest
can have it
release.
as an app with all your other favorite apps on your machine. So if we came
Nice.
here, you see this, it says, "Oh, the app is available. Would you like to install it?" So I'm gonna click install the app, and then I can see where I want to pin it. So I say allow, and as you can see here, I have my little icon on my
Yeah.
taskbar, so I can
L-
access it easily, and I have the
Little,
app.
little giraffe in your taskbar. You can always go and check out what is available in the toolkit.
Yes, yes. So like that's the cutest, the cutest logo one can have.
Yeah, exactly. And this is great. All of the features available in the web page is also available in the desktop app, right? It's
Yeah,
exactly the same.
yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
So, on top of all of the changes in the playground and the samples, we also have another new provider. It is just released. Have you ever heard of TeamsFX?
Yes, a little bit. I was actually hoping that you can you can educate me.
Of course. So before we jump into the TeamsFX provider, do you know what is Teams Toolkit? Because we have a Visual Studio Code extension available for us to build Teams applications. Have you heard of this before?
Yes, and I tried it a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I had like my hands on it and I tried to play with the components with Teams. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm sharing my Visual Studio Code and I use Teams Toolkit extension to create a tab. On top of this, right now, we have TeamsFX provider available in Microsoft Graph Toolkit. And when you create a Teams tab by using Teams Toolkit extension and Visual Studio Code, it is actually coming with the TeamsFX provider. It's a new release, just released today. And now I see the documentation is also released today. But if you just quickly take a look, we already have the person card graph toolkit used here, and it's coming with the sample app you create by using Teams Toolkit. As you can see, we have the provider and we also use person card in the app, so you don't have to do anything. If you just build an app from scratch, you will see that Teams Toolkit components and TeamsFX provider is a part of your tab solution. When you run this app, I run this for you. I'm just going to show you. Um, what's coming with it. When you run this app as a Teams app, it's actually coming with TeamsFX. And here in the tab, you can see the design, but also it's showing you how you can get users' profile. If you want to add the login component to provide an easy authentication flow, as well as if you want to provide some person card, if you want to get data from Microsoft 365 by using Graph, Teams Toolkit is a great option for us, and now it is coming with the TeamsFX provider, and it's available in the Teams Toolkit. So here, if you want to learn more about TeamsFX provider, you can just click on the link and you will be directed to the GitHub repo. And here there are all the information available about TeamsFX provider, but basically you can use all of the components coming with the Graph Toolkit. You can add person card in your app. As I mentioned, you can add the calendar, actually whichever data you need. You can design in the playground and you can just use it in your Teams tab. It's another great feature released, and I'm really happy that two of the toolkits, Teams Toolkit and the Graph Toolkit, is working together. They're all working in smooth and parallel, and they're now combined. You don't even need to know what Graph Toolkit is. Once you create a Teams app from scratch using the Teams Toolkit, the Graph Toolkit components and the provider is coming inside automatically. So you will get to understand how we get data from Microsoft 365 using Graph by just using the components.
That sounds awesome. If I ask nicely, would you and Seb have like some sessions for us and some workshops?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'm actually super excited about TeamsFX because the Graph Toolkit is one of the easiest way to build authentication in your app. And on top of it, we have other other components available in MGT for you to gather data, again, in a couple of lines of code. It's not a really hard thing to do. Combining this with Teams and using this feature in Teams tabs is actually making life super easy. Seb and I are definitely working on some sample hero apps, and hopefully we will have a chance to share the hero app and talk more about Teams Toolkit and the Graph Toolkit together in some other session.
Awesome.
So I guess if you want to learn more, we can just link the documentation in the video. You can also find in the description. But we will have much more examples coming related with TeamsFX provider, and we will continue sharing them with you in our documentation. All right, so I guess we are just done about the things we can talk about Graph Toolkit. If you want to learn more, you can always check out our documentation, and the build sessions are available. Just don't forget to check out the build sessions as well.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, Rabeb?
As usual, check out, as Ayca said, check out the documentation, check out the latest release of the Microsoft Graph Toolkit, which comes with the TeamsFX provider. There are like loads of new improvements on the components for accessibility. And again, there will be more new things coming in the future, and we will make sure to share them with you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy that we get a chance to speak about what's new in Graph with this series. Hopefully, once we have new features to talk about in any tool in Graph, we will have a lot more of these videos available for you on our YouTube channel. So until we have our next video, stay tuned and continue coding. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.